All right.
All right.
I'm excited. First of all, I have not spoken to a ton of people from your program, but strangely, in the last couple of days, I feel like some medical biller and coders have come from out of the woodworks to kind of just chat about what's going on. But I'm really excited to talk to you too because I've never had a dual interview before. So we're gonna see how this goes, and I'm sure it's gonna go fabulously.
And a mother-daughter.
I know, a mother-daughter duo. I'm so excited. So before we get into me asking you guys a whole bunch of personal questions, just kidding, educational questions, would you take a minute to introduce yourselves and then maybe what program you're in and maybe how you heard about Intellitech?
Uh, my name is Tammy. I'm medical billing and coding, and I drive by here every day, so I was like, why not stop and
I love that it's that simple. You just drive by here every day.
I was like, hey, let me go talk to them.
Okay. Did you get drug along for that stopping in or?
No, I am Veronica Parks Davis. I'm in medical billing and coding. I actually found Intellitech through my mother. She's the one that told me about it. And then I jumped on her bandwagon.
I love that. So, okay, so you drove by and did you come in that day and you were alone then or
did, yeah.
okay. And then did you know that medical billing and coding is what you wanted to do? You did?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what I specifically came in for.
So I feel like tip for anyone, if you know that this is what you're going into, it's probably going to be a good field for you. Like I feel like medical billing and coding is very specific as a field.
It's very specific and very hard.
Yeah, let's talk about that. So obviously you get here, you decide this is what you wanted to do. You already knew, so you made the decision. You jumped on the bandwagon and you were like, I'm going to do that too because you were interested in billing and coding or because
I've always been interested in the healthcare field. That's always been my thing. I look at like long term, what career could I have that would help me make a financial stability for my family, and medical billing and coding met those requirements.
Yeah. It's a very niche field. So I guess before we dive into maybe some of the challenges that you've had while attending school here, I would argue that most people might not know what biller and coders do. So would you kind of like to, based on your program here, was it what you were expecting? Was it more than you were expecting? And what the heck is a biller and coder?
It was definitely more than I expected in the aspect of the learning part of it.
Yeah.
But the easiest way for a biller and coder is if you go to a doctor or to a hospital, we are the ones that it's going to charge the insurance company and then send it off from there in case they come back and say, no, we're not going to accept this. We can fight for that client or that patient to make sure they're not getting overcharged.
I always argue that the biller and coder is probably the most important person to the doctor. Absolutely. Nobody knows that.
Absolutely.
But I feel like it's the most important person in the room. And so it got started in your education here and you were saying it was hard. So hard, how so?
The amount of information you have to retain within each 6 weeks is very difficult. And then some certain classes that you have to take, like anatomy, it needs to be a lot longer than 6 weeks because there is so much information that you have to be able to learn and be able to retain in your head, even to even look up a simple scenario from a doctor saying if you just went in for your ankle and they're like, okay, well, this is the posterior yada yada whatever. If you're not retaining that that information in anatomy, you're not going to know even how to look up to even get to the code you need to get to build the insurance.
It's very difficult in that aspect because once we've taken 2 CPC exams already, they ask you questions that we have no clue about. Like we don't even know what that particular word is. That's the part of the body. So if you're not understanding your anatomy class, you're not going to be able to take that CPC exam because they use the medical terminology for it, not just, oh, your upper back is fractured, so let's code for that. It's more in detail than that.
And like upper back could have like 6 different terms for that medical terminology, and they can use that at any point on the test. So you have to like really retain that information.
Now, I'm going to throw you both under the bus because you're telling me how hard this is, but I also have seen your grades, and I know that you're doing or have done really, really well in your classes. So what is the secret then of knowing that, one, you have a lot of hard stuff coming your way, but also how do I have that hard stuff, and what did you guys do to be successful in class still?
We work together, for one.
Because
what I don't know, she might have known. We also had a group of people that we went through our majority of our classes with. We had a Facebook group chat going on, and they're from different schools. They're like Pueblo and Colorado Springs. And so we would all get together and work on stuff together so that we would all understand what we were doing. And not giving up, as much as I wanted to with one particular class, it was, to me, I was like, I'm not going to let that defeat me. I'm just going to keep going, And so
mine is, if you're not understanding something, ask questions, whether they're silly or not. Ask them. And then let's say if you finish that term and you go into your next term and you're still kind of iffy on how to do it, ask that next instructor, because they may have a different aspect of teaching that subject that you're questioning about, and you may be able to retain it better that way than you will with a different instructor. That's what I came across personally, is different instructors for me really spoke to me, and some of them just kind of made me more confused.
I wish we could have had Miss Leslie the entire time. She isn't, and I know she's retiring, but she was absolutely amazing.
One thing that I think is really cool that what you guys have said, and I wasn't expecting you to, but you really just leaned in on each other and then just other people. Like you built a community, a network of people, and it sounds like I don't know who gets the ground running with that, but like how does that camaraderie start? Like, was it because you guys initiated that, or
it was a total of 4 of us, honestly, and we were just very active in the classes. So a lot of our classes, people just sat back and they didn't say nothing. They didn't have questions. So the more that they would ask a question and we might have the answer, we would put the answer in teams or whatever. And then we were like, oh well, let's me and Cody, we wanted to talk about something personal that was going on in his life. And so we did that, and then we just all became really good friends through that. And it was a lot. I mean, we've had, I don't know how many hours and hours of conversations through each one of our classes. That is, I mean, those 2 really helped get us through.
Nice.
So. Another way to get through medical billing and coding is create your own cheat sheet. So all of the little practice tests you do or scenarios you do, copy them and put them on a Word document.
Yes.
That way you have a cheat sheet of going on throughout your whole time. It helps tremendously when it comes to final exams and different ways of studying it, because some of the stuff that they teach us stuff that's in the book, but some of the stuff that's not in the book that we're tested on, it's really good to have that somewhere else to look back on and be like, okay, well, I also need to know this.
And definitely writing in your books, like, I'm not going to try to take my CPC exam right now. I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos because I just don't feel comfortable with them myself right now to take that test. But YouTube videos, make sure you're writing it in your book. Larry Brown was very good at sending us things and telling us, this is going to be on your CPC exam. Put that in your book. Miss A did the same thing. You know, Leslie told us the same thing. Put everything in your book. There's not a lot of room to write in your book, but if you get creative, you know, you can write on every single page of that, of all 3 of your books, and then you're going to have all the information that you need to in order to pass that exam.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. So not taking the CPC exam now, but hopefully planning on taking it in the future. Is that the goal?
Yes,
in the future.
and I'm honestly on the kind of on the fence. I know she's done. She doesn't want to do school no more. But I'm kind of like maybe just going to take a break right now and then go for my associates. So I'm kind of just like,
awesome. Yeah.
you know, right now I just want to
take a break,
enjoy my summer, not have to worry about being at home. I spend more time at the lake.
Yeah.
You know, so
yeah. I do kind of want to bounce back since we're talking about the lake. Obviously, the summer's coming, and it's time to kind of get back out there doing the outdoor activities and stuff. But school takes up like a good chunk of time. So how were you all able to manage, you know, school time and personal time? Was there a transition into that? Was it easy for you to just kind of jump
in? If you have children, it's not easy. And you know, her kids are younger than mine, but my 10-year-old's very independent. Like she can really do a lot for herself. Mm-hmm. You don't have a life because there's so much
I love how seriously that is. In case we need to repeat it, you don't have a life.
You don't. And I'm not saying that in a bad way, because in the end, it's all going to work out. You know, you're doing it for a reason. But don't make no plans, because Monday through Thursday, you're on that thing until 10 o'clock, you know, and some of those classes, they make you stay till 10 o'clock on the dot, and you're constantly doing something. And it's a lot. Even after you get your assignments done, you don't stop there, because you got to continually go back and read what you read so that you retain that. I mean, I wish I had a photogenic memory, because then I'd take the test today, but you know, yeah. I mean, it's difficult, but then the way I just looked at it, it'll all be worth it in the end.
Yeah, for sure.
So if you have younger kids like I do that are 10 and under, either let them play outside and do their thing, or you study or do whatever you need to do, or do it when they're napping. If they're younger than that, with the babies, do it while they're napping, or even most of the time I did my schoolwork up till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning when they were sleeping. That way I know I'm not getting bothered or having those little spurts of having to get off my computer to go take care of them.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely a class that you really have to pay attention to. Mm-hmm. You know, your entire focus has to be on whatever they're teaching that day. Mm-hmm. I don't see how somebody could miss, like my mom passed away in November. Mm-hmm. And when I went back home, I took my stuff with me, and I even had to do my schoolwork while, you know, I was dealing with all that. But you can't miss a day. You really can't, because if you miss a day, then it's like maybe they were talking about your upper body structure or whatever. You have no clue what they're talking about the next day.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's really important to make sure you're there every day.
Yeah. Where did you guys feel like you found the motivation? Because for me, like on the outside looking in, I know what the program looks like. I know it's how it's set up. I know that it's hard. Mm-hmm. I know the information that you have to retain. I also know that you have things that you want to do. You have life things going on. You have children that you need to take care of. So where did you find the motivation to stay up till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning doing your assignments? Because I know that what I typically hear from people is that life doesn't stop lifing.
Right.
So was it, you know, just a passion for finishing it, a passion for, you know, bettering yourself, bettering your career? Like
we both set a goal day one in Miss Terry's class with each other. And we both said that we are going to graduate. We're going to graduate with honors. Mm-hmm. And we're going to do it together. Mm-hmm. And that's mainly what we've all done, because she wanted to give up, honestly. She was like, Mom, she's like, I'm done. She said, I'm mentally checked out. And I said, I get that, but we're right there at the end. Yeah. You know, we're right there. So for me, it was just knowing that we were going to do it together, and we're going to stick to that goal that we made day one in Miss Terry's CCR class.
Yeah.
That's what we did.
So awesome. I wasn't going to say that you graduated with honors, but since you brought it up, when I got to send out the list this morning, I was just so incredibly proud of the both of you, because I remember you coming in here and you very set on what you were going to do and how it was going to, and I was just like, well, sometimes life, and you're like, nope, this is what we've done. So congratulations.
Even with my knee surgery, I didn't think. I was just like,
right.
I'm not going to put it off. I don't want to.
Yeah.
Because it means, and she would have to put it off, and I didn't want her to have to do that. So we struggled through it and got,
Yeah.
My motivation was being able to complete this and then knowing I'll have the financial stability for me and my 2 kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thanks. Leave me out.
My part of the wagon is
this series of conversations that I'm having with students who are graduating, I'm calling Tricks of the Trade.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you could look back, or maybe we have a group of brand new students who are getting started. They'll be coming in today at 4:00.
Oh my goodness.
And they're going to be starting on their medical billing and coding journeys. If you could look back to everything that you've been through, and if you could give just that person who's getting started some really good advice, what advice would you give them?
Buy a bunch of book tabs. The yellow book tabs.
Any color.
One day, or any color, yeah. One day we were doing neoplasm, which is basically cancer anywhere that's a mass. Put on your tab neoplasms and stick it on that page. Anything you go over, like I have neoplasms, I have blood tests, I have panels, I have any little side subject that we learned that day within that section, I put a book tab there. So I know instead of when I come to this test, I'm not going to have to keep looking in the back of the book to go find neoplasm. I can just flip to that book tab and immediately be at neoplasms.
Mm-hmm. They don't give you enough tabs within the books. But for me, I would honestly like to see this program go maybe 1.5 years. Because it is a lot of information to go over, and it's so much that it's hard to retain it all. I caught myself going back through books from like law and ethics, because we took law and ethics right at the beginning, but now you're at the end and you're like, how do I remember everything I learned way back up there? So I would like to see it go maybe a 1.5 years and make the capstone class longer. Because even though throughout all your classes you're learning bits and pieces on how to code for things, capstone puts it all together. And when you have a scenario that is an entire page long, a case note that's an entire page long, and you have to dissect that in order to know what you're coding, you don't learn that in any of the other classes. So to get that through in 6 weeks is very difficult. So I definitely see it go longer to be more beneficial for some people.
Yeah. Last question for both of you. Jay, last day of class, unless you decide to come back for more and you drag her with you. Are there any special shout outs you would like to give? Anyone you'd like to say thank you to, or just
Miss Leslie? Miss Leslie, that woman is unbelievable, not only in her teaching style, but her personality, wanting to help you, making sure that you understand what's
taking
there.
Her time to where if you put the answers up in the chat, that she's not just going to be like, okay, we're done with this, let's go to the next one. She will sit there and wait until everybody in that class has that correct answer. And if you can't get there, she's going to say, okay, we're going to take 5 minutes and we're going to help this individual.
And she walks you through step by step exactly how to look for it, where to look for it. She is amazing. I would say Miss A well. She was great too. But and then Miss Terry, Miss Terry started it off, and a lot of people don't realize, like, I went to college before and we didn't have a CCR class. That class really
Opens your mind up to new opportunities and new ways of looking at yourself
Yes.
and others.
Yes. So
Mm.
to me, that class is just the beginning. Like, you might think it's ridiculous, like, oh, I know how to fill out a resume, or you know, why do I need to know this about myself? Once you go through Miss Terry's class, it opens you up to a whole different aspect of who you really are, what you're really looking for. So yeah, I would say Miss Terry as well.
Awesome.
So,
Well,
and then of course all you all, you know. All you all.
I thought you guys were going to shout each other out, but you know, you did that earlier.
We do that every day. We do that every day.
Well, super awesome. I am very just honored to know both of you. You know, going through the program and hearing from you, whether or not things were going great, whether or not things weren't going great. You know, you were willing to speak up on your behalf, and really have just done a tremendous job. So, a wholehearted congratulations to you both.
Thank you.
Made it.
Yes.
And we do hope to see you back to finish your associates with us in the future, both of you.
Did you hear that? Both of us.
Listen, you have done, in my opinion, one of the hardest programs that we have here. And so if you choose to come back to your associates, it's not going to be the same mind draining workload that you have encountered. So you're worth getting that associates. Jump in.
Put the wheels back on the wagon.
That's right. After the summer. All right. Thank you guys so much.